Hey, this is Daryl Olson from the Jackson Fishing Team again. Again, we're working on some smallmouth flies for the Greenbrier Fly Fishing Classic in West Virginia. And this next fly is Jim Finn's Golden Retriever that we're going to tie. And it's a fairly simple tie. You'll probably recognize it once we show you what the fly looks like. It falls in that category of a woolly bugger. The only difference is instead of using chenille and a hackle, a palmered hackle, it's using Estaz, and we're gonna show you that. And the Estaz is kind of palmered, and so that the bright colored thread, when it's wet, kind of comes through that Estaz and stuff like that, so it kind of looks kind of cool. But we're going to tie it on a size 6. Why don't we get to it, and I'll show you what the fly looks like. This here is Jim Finn's Golden Retriever. You're going to see that it does look very similar to a woolly bugger. But this is the Estaz. I don't know if you can see it, but there's kind of like, I can see it here, but you can barely make it. Some fluorescent pink is the thread I used. Kind of glows through that, so when it's white or wet, that's going to be kind of predominant. And you can see it also comes with a, maybe not, but there's a fluorescent pink collar behind the bead. But why don't we go ahead and we'll start tying this, and we'll explain the materials as we go along on there. The hook I'm going to use is a 1750 streamer hook. It's actually got a straight eye, a 4X long, and size 6. You can use a down-eyed hook. I've done that in the past. I don't have any left, so I've had to go and use a straight eye. And there we'll debarb that. And I'm using a 4mm gold bead. And I like to use tweezers, and since it's a bigger, it's got a smaller hole. I don't know if you can see that. And a bigger hole in the back. We're going to put the point through the smaller hole. And that's how I usually do it. Sometimes, some people will mount their hooks in the vise, especially on smaller hooks. But this is a bigger hook on there. Besides the bead, we're going to add about 20 wraps of lead or lead-free wire, 0.025. And I'm just going to leave it on the spool, and I'm going to count like 20 wraps going forward. And then wheel that off or break it off. And we'll do the same thing back here, or if you want, you can. And then I'm going to tighten that up against the bead to help square that bead in place. The thread I'm using is a 140 denier in fluorescent pink. And we're going to start that right behind that lead. I'm going to try out my new scissors here. And what we want to try to do is kind of build a slope here. What we're going to want to do is try to make a hot pink body. So you're going to use a lot of thread covering this up. But you don't have to be that, I guess, anal about it, but and next I'm going to use some tan Marabou. One plume or whatever you call it. And we're going to make the tail about a hook and a half long. Tie it right on top of that hook. And I'm kind of tightening, pulling upwards. And by wetting the Marabou makes it easier to manage. And again, we're going to try to make a pink body, underbody here. And then I'm going to take some Standard Estaz in peach or gold color, whatever you want. That's why it's called the Golden Retriever. Now the thing with Estaz, it does have a grain. I don't know if you can really see that, but it's kind of wanting to lay back this way, so I don't want to wrap it on this end, so we're going to tie it here so it's kind of curving back a little bit, angled back. And then again, we'll try to make it that way. And then I'm going to just not cut off the length. I'm just going to try to conserve. It might make it more complicated, but I'm going to give it one full turn back here at the tail, and I'm going to then palmer it, about 1/8 of an inch gap from the core going forward. And then that'll allow that fluorescent pink, or maybe you used red, or maybe even chartreuse might be a good choice. I don't know. I'd have to try one to see what it looks like. And just palmering this forward, right up behind the bead. And I'll give it one full turn around the bead, and then I'll tie off. And then trim off here. And then try to pull those fibers back, building up behind the bead. And then I'll do one whip finish here, and then I'm going to apply some glue. And see, this is a pretty easy fly. And then I'm going to apply some glue to that, and then another whip finish. Close up my glue before I spill it as normal. Cut that off. And there you have it. That's Jim Finn's golden retriever. You can see why it's called a golden retriever, I guess. It's going to retrieve them smallmouth bass into your boat. Into that boat. And this is, so there are lots and lots of different various types of woolly buggers out there. You know, there's probably hundreds, if not thousands. But they're all variations of the original woolly bugger. And this is just one of them. And on there. And there you have it. A lot of flies out there. If you can learn to tie a woolly bugger, you can tie this, you can tie whatever other variations of woolly buggers are out there. And this is a very simple fly. Alright, this is Daryl Olson. I'm going to sign off, but I'll give you a little hint. Next week I think we're going to tie something that's big and nasty. That'll really bring in those smallmouth bass for you. Alright, we'll see you on the water.